Welcome to WOW Workout Wednesday. Today we are going to be discussing some core exercises. In the very first episode of our WOW Workout Wednesdays, I went into a little bit of detail about planks, some alternatives, and some ways to get started doing planks. Planks are my favorite core exercise. They encompass more muscle groups. They tend to be a little kinder on the low back. They burn more calories. Today I am going to cover crunches. Crunches are not my favorite go-to exercise even before I got into vibration machines, but many of you are asking me, I want to do crunches. How do I do crunches on the machine? So crunches are primarily what we're going to cover today and variations of those. Crunches, if you have not done crunches on the floor in a long time, they can be challenging on the back. And what I want to do is break down a few components as to how to target those abdominal muscles. Crunches to me are more of a defining move. So we're trying to shape and sculpt and make that six-pack or eight-pack or two-pack pop. It's not the most effective weight loss type of exercise. So if you're wanting to lose weight, you don't get to decide. You know, you can do 1,000 crunches, and that doesn't mean that you're going to lose the weight there. You'll be stronger, and you'll have some definition, but to lose the physical mass is about burning calories and things like squats or lunges and things that engage those big muscle groups. The quads and the glutes are your go-to, but certainly crunches are probably a part of most good core exercises. A lot of trainers, you'll learn them in classes. So how to incorporate crunches into a vibration plate. A lot of your lessons on how to do a crunch or the variations of a crunch, you could Google and find a bazillion. I'm going to suggest today for crunches on the plate, a mat. I kind of have a sticky outy tailbone, so this is one of the few positions when I'm tilting up into like a V-sit. You may want some padding. I've got the machine situated so that the buttons are between my legs. And when we're doing crunches on the machine, you can, what am I doing? You can do crunches, you know, as a workout on their own, but perhaps you're just wanting to incorporate them into something more of a total body exercise. So if you were doing a core workout, I hope it wouldn't just be 5 or 6 crunches. We're going to do some legs, more of a total body effect. The core is kind of from here to here, so it encompasses a lot of area on your body. One of the cool things about doing crunches and any kind of core work on an oscillating platform is the destabilization that oscillation offers, and I think has an advantage over certain types of platforms. So depending on the oscillating machine that you are using today, the really slow, the starting frequencies or speeds, as you may refer to them, are the really wobbly, really choppy ones. Those ones are good for core. Core exercises aren't about going 100 miles an hour. They're about destabilizing the core. So the faster you go, you may find some of these exercises easy, whereas your bum's just absorbing the movement, whereas a slow tilting speed is going to offer a little bit more destabilization. So if you're working, I'm working on a Life Pro Rumblex Plus today. If you're working on, you know, any consumer machine out there typically that has speeds or levels, we're working in those lower ranges. So, you know, 15, 20 and under, let's say. If you're working on a higher performing machine, a Galileo, a Hypervibe, where the frequencies are truly represented, we're working in the under 10 hertz range. So most of your machines are going to start at the 5 to 6 hertz. So let's say that 5 to 10 hertz range. Anything faster than that, we start getting into less wobble. So I'm going to start my machine slow for demonstrative purposes on the camera. And with your core exercises, one of the best things that you can do to have good core is understand your breathing and how critical breathing is to doing core exercises properly. If you have not taken a yoga or a Pilates or something of that nature, you know, just some good breathing exercises that you can look up, or maybe you've done in the past. The more efficient you can make your breathing while you're doing your exercises, the more effect the exercise is going to have. So if I sound a little off cue today, if you're doing it properly, you shouldn't be able to talk fluidly. And I don't love crunches, so I don't do them terribly often. So with a crunch, there's 2 pieces to it. I am sitting with the length of the platform this way. A crunch is one of the few exercises that is kind of universal. You can do it a couple of different ways on the plate to experience different destabilization. In this fashion, I'm kind of moving like this. And with your core, your crunch, if you lean back, keep your feet flat on the floor. Our knees are just, we're just resting comfortably on the floor. Just sitting yourself back with a nice straight spine would be like baby steps starting number one. You're going to get to a point, it's kind of funny with crunches, if you'll get to a point where you feel like you have to bend your neck, think of that as your low point. It's not like they taught us in the 70s and the 80s where we, crunches or something like this. That's your neck. As soon as you feel like you have to bend your neck, that's your abs going, I don't want to do this, give me a break. So keep your neck perfectly straight, in line with your spine, and as soon as you feel that point where you want to bend your head, just stop and hold and breathe. And what you'll feel is that upper abdominal muscle pack engage. So anything from the belly button up. So bending from the hips, the top half of our body, it's the top half of those abs holding us up. Now, if you do crunches all the time and you got game and you want to make it meaner, add some weight. That's another way to really, just fatigue yourself faster, work those muscles, maybe do some dynamic movement. I'm not going to get into a bazillion variations, but that basic exercise, you want to make sure that you're feeling it from the belly button up and just practice on holding. If you do want to do dynamic movement on the machine, do it very slow, very purposeful. Time it with your breathing. So a moving variation might look something like this. So we're going to come back. I always exhale on the way up. It feels more naturally to me. Depends if you're yoga, Pilates, there's different philosophies out there. But I inhale, hold on that contraction, exhale. Inhale. Try holding for 2 to 3 seconds, release. Another way to just start making it a little bit more challenging, if you're a minute in, and that's easy, without adding something as severe as 7 or 8 pounds, you can start adding your hands or putting them out. Just playing with your body position will incorporate more of your own body weight. So maybe you're doing something like this, and you'll feel heavier. And if you extend your arms out, gravity's coming down on a bigger surface. So there's all kinds of variations that Jane Fonda taught us back in the 80s. So the bigger part of the abs that most of us are focusing and obsessing about is the pooch part. So below the belly button. So the basic first part of that crunch, and we're going to get into some variations once we understand how to do the whole thing. But if this is all that you're able to do, we're focusing on that top 6. I want you to be able to identify the difference between the groups. To get to the lower, the pooch, the 6-pack, the C-section, that part, our legs need to come into it. So the evolution from here is going to be bringing those legs into the equation. And all of a sudden, you're going to feel those lower abs also engaging. So if your feet are on the ground, you're not really engaging the lower abs. Many people struggle just doing a V-sit on the floor. So the abs or the back are so weak that sometimes it's easier to break this into 2 positions if you're not able to do this. So how we would target just the legs if we're not able, the lower 6-pack, if we can't do a traditional V, bring your hands back on the floor and just lift. So break it into 2 pieces. So this is the first part. We're doing the top, belly button up. We focus on the lower, okay? Depending on how strong you are, maybe you look like this. Maybe you're doing little leg lifts. Maybe you're doing little circles. There's a bazillion variations, okay? The goal is eventually to incorporate both, okay? But that, to me, is hard on the low back. So if you don't do that one regularly, listen to other things. If your back feels like it's tensing up, or your hips, stop, take a break. Sometimes more little reps is going to be more effective. So again, just to make sure I'm crystal clear, belly button up is the top half of your body. Belly button below, legs, is the lower part of the core. So sitting in this fashion, we're destabilizing and keeping ourselves stable this way. Another variation is to do a half turn or a quarter turn sideways. Okay, I'm going to line my mat back up. So in this fashion, you're moving more this way. And one is not necessarily better than the other, but mix it up. This is just a really easy way to mix it up without doing a whole bunch of new moves. You want to make sure your butt is dead center to start. With this position, if you're sitting further this way or that way, you're going to notice more movement, and it's very hard to do effective core. You just want a slight little bit of movement so that butt's dead center. And again, leaning back. You'll hear it more in my voice this way. Okay? If we want the lower legs, same thing. Put your hands on the ground and lift. I don't recommend hanging on the platform. It kind of throws you all over. So if you've got the ability, get those hands on the ground. Okay? And variations, why? Sometimes the reason, depending on how you have your machine set up, if you don't have enough geography around your machine, maybe you're stuck doing your crunches just in one way. Most of your machines are light enough you could turn them sideways, but for a core exercise, crunches, just like my planks and my sit-ups, how long will be the next question. So I would say if you're able to bang off a crunch that looks like this for a minute, add some dynamic movement, you need to make the position that you're doing more challenging because you do this stuff regularly. So I like reps. So, you should have a good intense, minute. If you're not fatiguing within a minute, change up the crunch. So if you can hold something like this for 2 to 3 minutes, make it harder. Pick up the ball. Again, adding body weight or children or, items from your kitchen cupboards just to add a little bit of weight is a good way. It kind of gives you something to focus on too, as opposed to just feeling the shake. So, depending on how you progress, there's a bazillion variations you can do. Okay. Again, planks, I prefer, they cover a little bit more in the back and the hips as far as total muscle groups. But many of you are doing crunches. The biggest thing with crunches, like anything else, is technique. So if you're not fatiguing within a minute, make sure that you're trying. I don't know how else to say that. If you're trying and you work this kind of stuff regularly, maybe change up, the crunch. Do some bicycles. Do some punching. If you're able to hold it for a minute fluidly without any challenges, you're probably ready for some dynamic movement. Just make sure that you're keeping that breathing efficient and fluid. A lot of people actually get headaches when they first start doing core work. I wanted to bring that up in the beginning part. But one of the big things that we do when we're not breathing properly is we just stop breathing. Our body as a way to try and make us quit. It's always trying to find a way to find the path of least resistance. So one of the ways your body will try to make you quit is stop you from breathing. So, if you're 30 seconds into this and you feel like you're getting a headache every time you do these core exercises, you may not be breathing, or you may not be breathing efficiently. So, those are some of the things that you can work on. Again, just a very quick recap. If you're not doing crunches now, break it into 2 pieces. Okay, so that you've got your belly button as your line. The upper abs are upper body. So we're unbending at the hips and we're physically holding ourselves up. The lower abs, belly button and below. We need to incorporate the legs. If we can't do both at the same time, break them into 2 pieces. Okay, start with those legs this way. Eventually we are evolving into something that looks like this. Okay, if you want to turn sideways and you've got the room around your machine to do that, moving this way is going to give you a different plane of movement. It's going to challenge, you could be killing it for 2 minutes in one direction, and just by changing how the machine, kind of wobbles you, you may find that your time to fatigue reduces just because your body's, challenged differently in this environment. So again, like this, you want to make sure that your butt is dead center so that you're not moving unnecessarily. We're going to, you want more challenge. We're going to come back, hold that upper body position. If you're able, we want to progress to something like this. If you're not able, or maybe you're fatiguing partway in, you can just drop the intensity out of any of these positions. So that's specifically crunches. If it was a true core workout, I would love to see some planks, some squats, some legs. I don't want you doing 10 minutes of crunches. So crunches to me, again, are more of a defining position. You're kind of within that ideal weight or size, and you're just trying to make those abs pop. They're not the best at burning calories, and they're going to challenge your low back. So if you do have issues, look at some of the first stuff that I did where I covered some of the planks. We will do core. There's a lot of different exercises that you can do. We will get back into some planks, some bridges, and some other stuff in another session. But for those of you that have been dying to do some crunch stuff, keep it simple, keep it effective, And there's a bazillion variations out there on the internet if you're looking at evolving from those basic positions. And try some of the stuff that you do now. If you are taking classes, you're doing some yoga, there's all kinds of core exercises that I would recommend. Keep in mind destabilization for core. You want those slow, choppy, churning speeds. You don't want to be going 100 miles an hour. Short session today. Thank you for joining us. If you did have any questions specific to core exercises, it's not working for you, you need some variations, you will be required to obviously get down on the ground to do some of this stuff, but give me a shout if you have any questions or challenges doing any of these exercises we've gone over today. If you want some specific training, you want to plan, of course I do consults. If you're interested in a one-on-one consultation with me, get something a little bit more defined for you, send me a message through the page or tag this post and I'll send you some information on how to do a booking. Thank you for joining me and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.